Grand Rising, muggy one, but cool this morning. It's my mother's 90th birthday today. She came to the UK as a child, really. 19. Yeah, some will say, well, she was a teenager. She was a child. In old school terms, she was a child. You didn't reach maturity, adulthood, until you were 21. She was a child. Therefore, back in 1953, 8 years after the Second World War. So, in this episode of True Brit News, that's right, why some need me to be dumb, wrong and stupid, and arc to a degree, I'm going to say this is kind of like in honour of my mum, my mother, the grand matriarch of my family still, and make some links and connections. As I was saying a bit earlier on, you know, my mum came in when she was a child. She's been here 71 years. I think she's into her 72nd year. She's seen enough, you know, and that enoughness that she's experienced being here, living here, settling here, in some ways being a founder, setting the foundations for a generation, or for previous generations that had been exiled from these islands. She was a returnee. All the Windrush, the first set of Windrush, and the Windrush began in 1948, which would be 3 years after the official ending of the Second World War. When the first wave of migrants, if you will, or people coming in from mainly the Caribbean. No, it was not even the other Commonwealth countries, although there were here, but in significant numbers. What you're talking about is people from the Caribbean, and that first wave was 1948 to 1971. Yeah, man, I'd been doing my research. So this last year has been focused on, in the way that I celebrate my mum's 90th year, is being by enabling her to also appreciate her time on this matriarchal landmass, floating through a matriarchal universe, to recount ups and downs, the journey, what was going on. But just also, it's been instrumental in me getting to know who I am, really know who I am, and being able to make some of the links and connections that I've made over the last year in particular, and linking them, those anecdotal and sometimes very factual reminiscences of my mother journeying from one continent to another and resettling here, and the verve that she has always had, it seems. Anyway, I'll prattle on. So that's what the last year has been spent. I've been talking to Mum. I've been making lots of recordings of her are experiences. Yes, as I do what so many people evidently have been doing these last, for a while now, but you know, maybe for the last year, is like looking at their ancestry, their DNA, their what do you call it, their heritage. There's lots of talk. So yeah, I've learned a lot about mine, a hell of a lot. It's not by accident that I've been able to confirm quite emphatically, I'm no slave and I'm no African. Neither were my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, or my great-great-great-grandparents. Going back, where have I just got to there? I've just got back to about the 1600s there. And I can locate my great-great-great-great-grandparents not only to these islands, and those records are at the National Archives and other places, other archive databases that we used to have. Yeah, but definitely going back to the time of William the Conqueror. And in terms of, at that point, I suppose we'd call them heraldic shields, or the family names and their origins from that time, going back into places such as Prussia, France and Germany, with a little sprinkling of Italian in there. So I know who I am. The problem that I've been having is that I don't know what it is. Nobody seems to be having it, even though they know. Anyway, and I'm curious about what other people's experiences are of their lineage, heritage, DNA, except genealogy, what people are finding. Mine's quite remarkable, as I say. No two ways about it. So anyway, I suppose it, on this auspicious day, and it's actually quite an interesting weekend as well, actually an interesting month that my mum was born in, and then right at the end of it. Just to say that there's been some guffaw, lots of guffaw, and people are just beginning to work out the implications of birthright citizenship. I know it's happening in America, and people are thinking, you got nothing to do with it. Oh yes, it does. Yeah, and I will even challenge ChatGPT, because he's saying that there's no connection between the laws that are created in America and the laws that are created here. And I kind of get what it's saying in terms of, because this is a central place where all the rules, all the laws of commerciality and criminal law and commercial law and all the rest of it, this is the base for it here in the UK. So I get it. And they're sort of distributed around the states of the world, to those heads of states and those governments in those states to implement this essentially English law. English is a language of commerce and business. That's why it's universal. So you have to have a universal code of conduct, if you like, for business transactions. Okay? And part of that, was people deciding that the people that are introducing this universal approach to doing commerce across the globe if you like, creating a global economy. They've been trying to do it for centuries. The only way to do that is to create a legal, where was I going with it? We create a legal framework within to, oh right, that's right. And part of that process of creating the legal framework is to decide who can trade and who can't. Basically, which groups of people and what they can trade, and sometimes based upon skin colour, ethnicity, location, and so on. So, the 14th Amendment of the United States, which is an addition to there's two constitutions. There's the first one, and there's another. This one that includes the 14th Amendment, which made it a new one, I suppose, from the old one. Which is basically to say it's something about, even if you're born in America, you have right to citizenship, birthright, citizenship, and nationality. It gives you the right. So anybody can go to America, until quite recently, be illegal or legal, and it meant that if you had any children, gave them automatic rights, birth rights in the country, okay, or to that country, which also meant that it gave room for what you could call dual citizenship. So you can be born one place, your parents can be born one place, which entitles you to the child and his offspring to get into it, as it were, to be a citizen of that country that they've migrated to. And any children that they have will have citizenship, dual citizenship essentially, one from where the birth parents, where the parents are heralded from, and the country that they're born into. Dual citizenship. Now, this is where it gets interesting. That has got massive implications for many, many countries, particularly with this conflict going on in Israel at the moment. And people are sort of saying, Israel runs America, therefore runs the world. And if you look at the Congress and their other lower chambers, I think, is it Congress? It's equivalent to our Parliament, and they've got the Senate as well, which is equivalent to, I think, House of Lords, and there's another chamber that they have over there as well. I think it's for the legal. Basically, nearly over 90% of those people have dual citizenship, and in America with Israel. And actually, we're not far off those figures here in the UK. If you don't have to look that deeply, to be quite honest. Staveley, Braverman, I think she's divorcing her husband in a minute, or something's going on there. But she's been a supporter of. What's she been a supporter of? I forget now. I forget what I'm talking about. She's been a supporter of this. Completely forgotten what I was talking about. Anyway. No. Oh, supporters of Israel. Oh, difficult. Well, actually, and Zionism. I keep forgetting to mention that phrase because I think that's quite important. Zionists. Which, not all Zionists are Jews, I suppose, is what I would say. Because not everyone can become a Jew. You can become a Jew through choice, I think. But it's bestest if your mother goes down the mother line. So, what was I going to say there? Supporters of Israel and what it does, how it does it, basically. So, kicking the shit out of Palestine, not a problem. For a lot of these Zionists, they keep edging their bets and sort of saying, yes, they all need them to de-escalate and this, that and the other, but only after they don't want a de-escalation, to be quite honest, it seems to me. They don't want, every time peace is spoken about, you're going to start dropping bombs. There's no money in peace for these people. Right, I'm going back now. I've drifted off. So that's a bit of ARC news there. Not ARC. A bit of true Brit news there, insofar as you can quite clearly see who's for war and who's for peace, who's for a restoration and who's not, who wants to keep this shit going that we're calling Western democratic hegemony, and who doesn't. The lines are quite clear. So, how long have I been on here now? 16 minutes. I'm going to keep this one quite short. I just wanted to sort of say that, you know, this particular post is in honour of my mother, a 90-year-old survivor. And that, well, she's not a survivor actually. She has survived, an endurer of the Windrush transportations, because that's what they are. You know, transportations of the returnees back to their homeland, to their motherland, which is here. And there's loads and loads and loads. I mean, you know, and nobody can dispute it. I mean, there's a few people sort of saying, no. You know, how come, you know, people are screwing about the Windrush thing because apparently Keir Starmer's gone and done something, said something about it, thanking us. But he's only prepared to go back to 1948. And he's not even talking about 1948, he's talking about the 1950s, you know, from then on. But I've already shown clips of people here in the footage of people being here, black people in numbers, being here in the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1500s, the 1600s, you know, going back to medieval times. So, as I say, it's a glorious year, been a glorious year for Mum. It's been quite challenging in some respects because she's been having to, you know, through listening to her, when she tells me things, you know, when she shared with me that as a child she saw Zeppelins, and I'm going, mind-blowing. They're all over Jamaica apparently, but nobody seems to be talking about it apart from Mum. I mean, it's when she told me, I knew something was up when she said to me that, and I think it slipped out of her mouth actually, when she said that when she went down to there's a port down in St. Anne's in Jamaica. Yeah, St. Anne's in Jamaica. What the? Anyway, I'm only saying that for those people that don't know. There's a place called St. Anne's in Nottingham, which was my manor when I was growing up. St. Anne's. I won't talk about that. Anyway, St. Anne's, and I had no idea that there's a link between Nottingham, St. Anne, James II, and Jamaica. Earl Hyde. There's a guy called Earl Hyde. I think it's Earl Hyde. It might have been Earl Hyde of Nottinghamshire, of which Clarendon in Jamaica was named of. It's named after him. And also his daughter married James II and had his kids. Became Queen Anne. Okay? Now, in Nottingham, we've got the royal children, we've got the royal standard, and people don't, you know, Parliament was held 3 times here. We've got lots and lots of pubs around about the place that used to be called the Black Boy, which is in reference to James II. Not James. Charles II. Is it James? James II. I can't remember which one it is now. Charles. That's it. Charles II. And the reason why he was called the Pretender is that, you know, he was called the Pretender by Cromwell's lot, because I think it's Cromwell Jr., the one after the first one, was not wanting him to return to take up his rightful place on the throne, rather to pave the way for the imposters that we've got in there now, the paedophile, homosexual clan that's not just in there but across Europe at the moment, and are apparently being dismantled. That's a story for another day. So till the next time, may your ERP and your spirituality remain strong. I'm gone.